So thanks everybody to join the Sitecore user group meetup. So that we organized with Hugo and Ram actually. Before start, I'm gonna quickly introduce myself. So I'm Miguel Minoldo. I'm a Sitecore architect. I'm working for Valtech, based in Paris. And I've been working with Sitecore for the last 11 years, more or less. So also a quick comment, if you have any question during the sessions, please write down here in Zoom. So at the end of each session, we have a Q&A to go through all the questions, so we can try to keep the time, for each presentation. So yeah, here we have the list of speakers that we're going to have today, but I will let everyone to introduce themselves before the sessions. But let me go through, the agenda for today. I'm going to start with a quick recap on the Sitecore Symposium. Then we will be doing an introduction to Sitecore Search. Then Ram will be covering Sitecore Connect. Then we have Ezgi joining us to do a quick demo and go a bit deeper into Content Hub 1. And then Sebastian will be presenting XM Cloud and answering some questions. Then Vinay will be talking about a plugin he built for Gatsby and CDP. And also I will ask everybody to please mute themselves if you are not speaking. Thanks. And last we have Ram and Elak doing a demo on the XM Cloud and the Vercel integration that they made for the Valtech hackathon. So yeah, last month we have the nice opportunity to join Sitecore Symposium in Chicago. It was of course great to get back to those in-person events, to make connections, to have some fun as well, and also to learn where Sitecore is going and to get some news. And I will try to summarize some of the main things that we learned there with you today. So during the keynote, Steve presented the vision and the future of Sitecore, and he announced the 3 new products. I think they were kind of the missing piece of the puzzle to make Sitecore, I would say, the first and maybe the only one end-to-end composable platform. So we start with Content Hub 1. It's a light and pure headless and agile CMS. It's designed for omnichannel. It allows to create, manage, and deliver content in a really quick and easy way. And when I'm saying it's pure headless, because it's only data modeling, it's nothing to do with rendering. It's completely language and framework agnostic. And it also published to the edge. But I will let Ezgi go later deeper into details and do the presentation on the product. And then we have Sitecore Search. It's a solution that powers your sites with intelligent search, with content discovery, and also fast predictive capabilities. It's based on the same Sitecore Discover technology that it came from Reflection. That was the company that Sitecore acquired some time ago. As I mentioned, it's intelligence using AI behind the scenes to give blazing fast results and personalized search results. And also provides analytics data that it's really useful to see how your search is behaving and how you can improve it. But I will let Hugo go to the details later. And then we have Sitecore Connect. It's an integration platform as a service. It's powered by Workato, and it's a low-code, no-code integration platform to connect not only Sitecore, but also no-Sitecore products altogether. And it also brings a UI with drag and drop functionality to make it really easy. And Ram will be presenting later more in details. So the feature is composable. Then they came to the main stage and started to explain how Sitecore is working today to achieve this vision and future on Sitecore, right? And to make things a bit more clear, it got categorized into different clouds, as I mentioned here, the 3 new clouds. So if we start with the content cloud, that are the ones in blue or dark blue, we have the XM Cloud that Sebastian will be explaining later, but it's the SaaS offering for XM/XP. Search and Content Hub 1 that we already mentioned before. Then we have Content Hub DAM, that's already known, and Content Hub Operations. For the ones that doesn't know about it, it provides the marketing teams with different efficient ways to manage content operations, make collaboration way easier when it comes to content strategy creation and distribution. And for example, in a headless architecture, you can manage content in a single place and then publish to different frontends or devices or stuff like that. Then we have the engagement cloud, are the ones in red. We have personalized and CDP that are from Observer. Then we have Send, that is the marketing automation platform that it's also came from Musen, and Connect that we already mentioned. And then on we have the Commerce Cloud, that's the ones in green. We contains Oracle Cloud and Discover. Something that I haven't mentioned here in the slides, but got mentioned in the symposium and also interesting was the project Affinity. It's something that Sitecore is working at the moment. The idea is to expand or to extend the commerce capability. So we'll be maybe adding some new products to the Commerce Cloud in the near future. Then something also that was interesting to hear about was the Sitecore 360. It's an additional support program that complements the current support offering. It supports the entire journey with Sitecore, also with coaching, learning tools, activities to enhance the investment. It also provides development, training, and certifications to grow the expertise. As you can see here in the table, in the left side, you have what you get normally by the current support and what you can get with Sitecore 360. All those slides will be shared later in the meetup, so don't hesitate to have a look and get back to questions. With questions, if you have any, we will do our best to answer those. And then some more news. Sitecore XM Cloud got general available. We have some, people have some access before. It was around summer, so we were already playing with it, giving feedback, etc. And something that really bring my attention during the symposium is what they mentioned, that XM Cloud is the successor of XP, not XM. And I think that's also something really interesting. And behind that, we have the light version of CDP and personalized included in XM Cloud, meaning that you can start working with personalization. I think they may also mention that A/B testing is coming soon as well. Of course, for more complex features on personalization, you can still go with CDP and personalized products, but it's something really nice to hear. And also the fact that those personalizations will be running on the edge. If you're working, for example, with Next.js, it's running on the middleware, so you will get personalization at the speed of static. It's also including the pages, that it's a new experience editor, kind of similar to Horizon, with drag and drop functionalities, also with components. And also together with the same cloud, got released the cloud portal that using the unified identity, you can log into the portal and get access to the different Sitecore products. That looks really interesting. And then it also contains a Vercel integration, so you can deploy end-to-end from XM Cloud to the rendering codes on Vercel, very easy. And then last but not least, we have Sitecore 10.3 that is supposed to get released in the incoming weeks, I think 1 or 2 weeks before end of November normally. And it includes the SXA headless and Next.js components. It has more than 200 enhancements and a lot of fixing. Something that is also interesting to mention here is a focus on making the transition to the cloud easier. And I think That's very important because, of course, not every customer today is ready to move to the cloud. But I think that's a good thing to hear that, for example, the extensions and customizations will be done through webhooks, meaning that we should change the way we were implementing those customizations previously. For example, touching the pipeline and stuff like that. So with that, and also with the modern set of APIs on both REST and GraphQL, that you will be able to do everything you were able to do from the UI, also from APIs, makes the things really easier for the transition on later. Okay, I'll put some references here. And again, we will be uploading these slides, so you will have access and check later. Okay, now Ram will be presenting the Sitecore Connect. Ram, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Miguel. And let's look at Sitecore Connect. It's going to be a short introduction. It's based on the symposium stuff that we got to learn. We still have to do a lot of hands-on on Sitecore Connect. So I'm not sure, Miguel, if you can change the slide. Or...
After you can share, I can do it for you.
Okay. Let me quickly share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, all good one.
Cool. So just before we start to look at with the Sitecore Connect, let's see where are we right now in terms of connectors. So currently, all of us, like most of us, are using connectors which are available in Sitecore Marketplace. And these connectors are mostly point-to-point integration. So what I mean by point-to-point integration is like these connectors are created in a way to connect Sitecore together with a CRM solution, for example, like Salesforce. And they are kind of, if you want to reuse the same point-to-point integration with another CRM, it's not possible. And developing these point-to-point integration is kind of time-consuming and also cost inefficient, because the reusability factor of these connectors are very less. And each time you need to add some customization, you would need to bring in more development effort, which is also increasing the cost. And finally, like each time you try to select a connector in the marketplace, there's always something that is missing based on the customer need. And most of the time you need to spend additional effort on it to do some customization. So now let's look at where we're heading towards. So where are we heading towards? So it's not just with the connectors. So we are kind of moving away from monolithic DXP. And what we are doing right now is like heading towards the composable future. In the composable future, you see on the right, you have this layers, which are content, search, presentation, analytics, and all these different layers, which are kind of seamlessly integrated with each other using integrations. So you see here, the composable DXP is made of integrations, right? So these layers can be composed with both Sitecore offerings, like for example, the personalization, it can be through CDP. For the search, it can be through Sitecore Search, or it can also be through third-party solutions. Let's take, for example, the search. It can be through other search offerings like Covio, Algolia, or whatever the customer is looking for. So all these tiny little layers that you have as a part of composable DXP are kind of integrated. And these integrations cannot wait, like we used to do with the traditional approach, where we kind of create the point-to-point integration. Because in the composable future, you need to be really quick. You need to make sure the layers are quickly adapted. So let's say you're plugging out one of the search layer and trying to put with another platform, it should be done in a quick way. The same goes with any layer that you are kind of using in your composable system. So I guess you got an understanding like where we're heading. So this is where it's going to be a game changer. The Sitecore Connect is going to be a complete game changer. So as Miguel mentioned earlier, it's powered by a platform called Vercel. So what is Vercel? So it's a low code, no code integration platform. It's going to save a lot of time and cost. And if you need to look at how it works, just go to vercel.com and you'll find this link which has a lot of detailed case studies and different companies which are using Vercel as their low code solution. So just just to give you an idea, I can just explain a little thing. So let's say you want to import a set of data into your CDP solution. So this data can be sourced from Google Drive, or it can be coming from your OneDrive, wherever it is. So you will have a option to select a target system. So you just select this target system. And what is the flow? So you can set different flows. It's similar to the workflow. You can use intuitive drag and drop UI. You can choose different steps you would like to add. You can just read the CSV file. You can convert the CSV file into your custom types with custom schema. This schema can be mapped with the schema that is there in the CDP. And the next step, you can just publish this data that you have already manipulated through the flow to the CDP. So this is as simple as that. You select target system, set the flow, and then publish it. So normally this used to take tons of effort. As a part of development, we have to create a custom connector. We need to study the API. We need to do a lot of different things before we can come up with a connector. But here it's really simple. So you see a major difference here in time of developing these connectors. And Sitecore, they are kind of developing their pre-built recipes, and they're going to publish it soon to connect with all their Sitecore offerings. And also they are already in a plan to connect with other third-party solutions. So let's say you want to connect with CRM solution, you want to connect with CDPs, you want to connect with your marketing application, whatever it is, you'll have this recipes from Sitecore. It's going to be really helpful for you. So just in case, like at any circumstance, you feel like these recipes are not going to be helpful for you, don't worry. You'll have 1,000 different connectors that are available for you in the Vercel. Using these connectors, you can quickly create your own flow. You can create your own recipes and then publish them. And I hope in the future, which is not clear at the moment, but in the future, I think the community can also contribute like we do in the marketplace. Hopefully, there should be something similar to the marketplace in the Sitecore Connect Vercel platform. I hope you understood like how the Sitecore Connect is going to work. But let's see when to use Sitecore Connect and when it is going to be performing really well. So based on the understanding that I got from Symposium, I feel like it's mostly to integrate with third-party solutions. Why I'm saying this is because Sitecore already has a lot of connectors with its own system, right? So you want to connect with the Sitecore Content Hub to Sitecore XM or XP. You already have a custom connector. The same goes with any other Sitecore offering which we have, right? With the CDP, we know how to do it. We have rule engine driven. We can do whatever you want. We have a lot of different solutions that is already there, which Sitecore has already provided. So what I understand here is like you want to create something that is out of this particular connector categories. You want to connect with the third-party system. This is when you're going to use the system quickly. So as I mentioned earlier, so this is to also save your time and cost. Maybe you want to create an enhanced connector later on, but let's say you want to come up quickly with the connector to kind of do some activity like an import or some quick activity that you want to save a lot of time and cost, then probably you can leverage this Sitecore connector. And finally, as it is driven through Vercel platform, at least for now, it's based on the connections that are established based on the account which Sitecore has with Vercel. So as of now, I think the recommended thing regarding the Sitecore connect is like keep the volume low, which means that it's not really recommended for high volume usage, because I guess it's close to 6 million connections or something like that, or 6 million times you can kind of call the APIs and so on. So I think it's connection driven. So probably we'll be getting more information about this once we get the hands-on on Sitecore Connect. But so far, it's like connection based. So imagine like you can start using it when the volume is pretty less. So you got any questions, or we keep this at end, Miguel?
After more minutes, if there is some questions related to Sitecore Connect. I don't see anything in the chat yet, but feel free to unmute yourself and ask. Okay. Otherwise, we can move to the next topic. So, Hugo,
Yes,
already
sure.
all yours.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So let me share my screen. It's going to be easier for me. All right. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yeah, all good. Thanks. So good evening, good afternoon. I don't know from where you're connecting, but very happy to be there tonight. So that's our second SUGFrance event of the year. We're very happy to have this one again, and we hope to grow our community. So just a few words before we start, but if you feel that you want to join the SUGFrance group, feel free to reach out to us. We're really looking for people who can, grow the community and share insights and knowledge. So feel free to ping me or Miguel or Ram. So tonight I'm going to talk about the Sitecore search. That's also something that has been announced, were announced during the Sitecore Symposium this year. I'm going to give you a very quick 10 minutes introduction. A few words about myself. My name is Hugo, based in Paris. You can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm working at Valtech at the Sitecore practice lead. I'm also an MVP for the past 2 years. So yeah, I mean, feel free to connect with me on Twitter if you want to carry on the conversations afterwards. All right, so what is Sitecore search? I would like to start with what the descriptions and the information that Sitecore provides on their website. So Sitecore search surfaces hyper-relevant content through AI-powered search. Sitecore tells us that it predicts search intent and display individualized results with a personalized search experience. Hold on, I just have a very strange message. I need to upgrade Zoom if I don't want the meeting to be stopped in 10 minutes. Can you see that, guys? Really? Okay, just give me 1 sec. I need to check that. Shit. Yeah, I think we're gonna upgrade it. So give me just 5 minutes. I will continue my presentation, and if it stops, please reconnect in 2 minutes. We're going to upgrade and then we will rejoin in a few. Sorry for that. So let's carry on. The three main features that Sitecore provides on their website, it's that Sitecore search provide unified and easy to find content. Basically Sitecore search will allow you to, I would say, customize or define the way you want to promote your content, match and sort your content. Also, it's a very nice tool if you want to gather multiple sources of content. I think this is one of the key features of Sitecore search. That's something that we will look at in a demo. Sitecore search will also drive visitor engagement. So curate AI-based rules to amplify specific content based on business goals or in response to customers' feedback. So what it means, it's that actually, again, you can define which content you want to promote. So based on your activities or your product or anything, you can define different weights for your content based on what is important for you. And the last point, display result fast. We'll talk about that in a few, but Sitecore search is able to provide visitors type ad search in milliseconds. This is a SaaS product. I think in terms of technology, this is really optimized to give you the best and fast experience that you can expect from a search, from a personalized search. All right, let's move on a little bit more detail. So as we saw, so Sitecore search is a personalization and insight search engine. This is a SaaS solution. I think this is really important, meaning that actually you will be able to use it with your Sitecore sites, but not just Sitecore sites. It could be used with anything else. This is based on a reflection technology. So Discover were announced a few months back. Sitecore Search is actually an extension of Discover. That's actually two different products. Discover is there to search and provide product recommended search to your site, whereas Sitecore Search is there for your content. So I think the two products can work in pair, they can work together, but really Sitecore Search is there for your content, whereas Discover is there for your product catalogs. This is a plug and play solution that can be integrated rapidly. And as I mentioned, it can work with Sitecore XM, traditional one, it can work with XM Cloud, as well as other systems. Sitecore Search is also multi-channel, multi-sources, and already multilingual. So we saw that at the beginning when Miguel talked about the new Sitecore ecosystem that were presented during Symposium. Sitecore Search is one of the new products that is part of the Content Cloud offer, meaning that tomorrow, if you want to integrate search on your site for content, Sitecore Search is a really good option for that. I think Sitecore Search will be integrated with Content Hub 1. That's what I saw. And you can also see there on the screen that Discover, which is same product based for a product, is part of the Commerce Cloud offer. Few words about the main features. As mentioned, Sitecore Search provide you predictive type ahead capabilities. Sitecore Search provide you autocomplete, auto suggestions, preview of your content, facets if you want to integrate faceted search, personalized results based on user behavior or user history. Quick results, we'll see that in a few. That's one of the nice features that we can see on the Sitecore site. Customizable widgets, that's something that is already there with Sitecore Discover. Basically, you will have the ability to set your own search widgets that with different business rules and different features that you want to show on your site. And those widgets will be reusable across different sites or different touch points that you're going to use. This is AI power search. And last but not least, Sitecore Search comes with analytics and the insight capabilities. A little bit about the technology. You might ask, okay, but how this will work with my website, with my content? First of all, the approach is really different with what you might know with traditional search with Sitecore. There is no index involved. Sitecore items won't be crawled. There is actually different ways to index your content. The first one would be web crawler. Sitecore Search provide web crawler, so your website will have to be publicly available, and bots will scan your sites and your content and feed that into Sitecore Search. You can also use API, so it's also a good approach if your website is not available there. You can also push some content through the API to Sitecore Search. It could also be a sitemap crawling. So if you do have a sitemap, you can provide that to Sitecore Search, and Sitecore Search will scan your sitemap and index the content that you have in it. And from a results perspective, so everything is API driven. So all the results that you will get when someone performs search is returned as JSON, meaning that it's a headless type approach. You will get the JSON, and then that's going to be another team's job to actually customize the look and feel of the search. Okay, let's jump into a quick demo. As mentioned, Sitecore Search, if you want to give it a try, is already implemented on the Sitecore.com site, which I think it's a really great opportunity for everyone to play with it. I would just show you a few features that we can see here on the site. So you can head up to sitecore.com/search. You will land into that page. And the first thing we're going to try, it's actually the search box here. So for instance, if I start typing, you can see that Sitecore Search is providing some suggestions. So that's the suggestions feature. Based on your search and the business rules that will be defined, you will get different suggestions that will provide you search results. So that's the first capability that we can see here. The second thing, when I enter my search terms, you can see that there is a module here called Quick Results, which I think is really nice because it helps to provide you the best results identified by the Sitecore search. You will get as well all the different results here available with paginations and traditional sort features. The next thing we're going to see, that's the facets. You can see here on the left-hand side that you have different facets available. This is all dynamic, so if you start playing with them, the content will be automatically filtered. Yeah, so this is all real-time. API calls are happening in the background. So facets are provided as part of the Sitecore search API JSON return. So if you start looking a little bit on what is happening on the network tab on the developer tool. So what we can see, if you start typing, we can see that there is a post request made here to API endpoint. If we start looking a bit at the payload, so first thing that you will see that's the context. That's where you can pass the country and the language, how you can provide different language result based on your on this context. The search here, basically this is passing the facets and all the terms that you are using. We can see that we have a personalization field here, whether or not personalization is enabled on the search. You will get, of course, you will see the query that you are sending, the sources also. I think here the sources, each sources is for the website that we can see here on the facets on the right. I'm just gonna stop here, but I think that you really get the point of Sitecore search. I think many of us would benefit from that tool. This is a common features that everyone is implementing on the site. So I think, yeah, that's going to be great to use that, and it looks really promising. I didn't get the chance yet to reach to the back office of the tool, but based on the experience I have with Discover, I think it's going to be very similar in the way you can manage your different sources, organize your content, give it different weight, give different importance. Yeah, it would be very easy for everyone to manage. I'm gonna stop here for today for the presentation. Thanks everyone for listening to me. I don't know if there is any questions. Feel free to ask if you have any questions in the chat. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, we'll cover a minute for questions. Someone.
Sure.
Feel free to unmute and ask. There's nothing in the chat, but I think we lost in the history when it restarted, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there is. Okay. One question from Praful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's different from the traditional way of doing search with Sitecore, because this is a SaaS product, so this is not something that you're going to integrate in your solution. It's actually a services that is available in the cloud, managed by Sitecore, that you're going to plug into your site. Content will be indexed in the different ways that I presented, so web crawler, sitemap crawl, or API. So you don't have to play with indexes, Sitecore index, and so on. And actually, XM Cloud doesn't have any index, so Sitecore search would be, I guess, the way to go solution if you want to integrate search with your XM Cloud sites. Yeah, Coveo is obviously something also available. One of the competitor, Algolia, and many different products.
Okay, thanks a lot, Hugo. So now we're going to have Ezgi going through Content Hub 1. So if you are ready, feel free to share a screen. For yours.
Hello, hi. Let me quickly host disabled participant screen sharing. Are you guys giving me access for screen sharing? Because I still cannot.
I think we have to do it.
It should be fine.
All right.
Ezgi,
Yes.
can you try again?
It is working. Yeah, it's working now.
Cool.
All right. Do you see my screen? Do you see the right screen with the slides? That's maybe a better question. No, but you.
We are seeing PowerPoint.
Here. All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
So, welcome everyone. Small intro. Not that. All right. Hi, my name is Ezgi. I'm the product manager in Sitecore for Content Hub 1 and Content Operations. Today, what I'm planning to show you is a couple of slides that is going to explain why did we do Content Hub 1? Why did we call it Content Hub 1? What are the differences between Content Hub and Content Hub 1? And also XM Cloud and Content Hub 1, following by a small demo and hopefully some Q&A in the end. So what is Content Hub 1? It's a agile and headless CMS solution that we provide, that we built ground up from scratch, basically with a simple UIs and simple interface that is multi-tenant and full SaaS. But why did we do it? So to understand why did we do it, we need to take a look at it a bit, how the market evolved. And most of you are already aware of this, but I really like this screenshot to take a look at to see the evolution of the market. So it all started as a static HTML web pages, where web-based publishing, web-based page, where the content was embedded in the layouts. But then the technology improved and it changed, and we have different channels. And as a response to this, the traditional CMSs expose their APIs and turn to decoupled so that they can actually reuse the content in different channels. But in our current world, the channels are exploded, and there are a lot of channels for the customers to feed. And reusability started to become, and focus on the content, become more and more important every day. And another important thing that I like to mention when I'm talking about this slide is the companies maybe on the mid part with like late 2010s, they wanted to be present in all the channels because everyone was still trying to understand each of every channel that is possible to reach out to the end user. But in the recent reports from Gartner and Forrester, we see that the marketeers are actually, the companies are actually now in the position of choosing which channel to be present. So instead of trying to be in every channel, they are picking a couple of channels and trying to be present in there. When we continue to looking at the bit market facts, I'm not going to read these, but you see a repetition in certain areas like adaptivity, being quick, being agile, being flexible, being modular. So to wrap up, there's an increasing importance of content marketing. The pace of engagement is also increasing. There are a lot of touch points to feed, and customers are looking for relevant experience in every touch point. But what does this look like on the other side? Not on the end user side, but on the builder side, for content builders and for experience builders, of course. Marketers, since the end users are expecting this much of the content in every channel, the marketers are now looking for an easy way, a faster way to put the content out to market. So they want to be able to be independent from the processes of the development cycle. And what the developers want is a flexible frame of choice for themselves, so that they can use their own framework, use the frameworks of their choice to be able to build experiences faster. So they also don't want to get stuck on just the content update, but they want to be able to build better experiences and leave the content worries to the marketeer. At this stage, Content Hub 1 comes in. So what do we offer is a flexible content modeling and authoring and reusability of the content. And when it comes to the developer experiences, we offer independent working. So we are keeping the content and the presentation different. So as I mentioned, that the marketer can focus on producing good quality content, but the developer can focus on producing better experiences, faster experiences. As I mentioned, we also provide, we are basically using GraphQL APIs for the content to be published. And we will also offer a set of SDKs as a starting. It will be JavaScript and .NET, but we also have various APIs for the developers to be able to build experiences on. To wrap up, what are the key benefits? Faster time to value, as I mentioned, faster to get started. So for us to put an environment up and running is just taking a couple of seconds. You can reuse your content. We allow you to also reference your content to each other, so you can actually use modular content to build better experiences or basically reuse your content. And it will be easy to use and simple integration. On the easy to use and easy APIs, I need to mention that these all APIs in the UI built from scratch. So we basically took Content Hub, so that's where the name comes from. But we cleaned up everything that we don't need, and basically we built new API endpoints and new UI from scratch. What will be on the current offering for the GA, which is on 8th of December, is a modeling, end-to-end modeling and authoring publishing, a media management, which would have transformations on the fly, search filtering and sorting of both media content and media content items, and GraphQL delivery and preview APIs, content management and images API. Right after the GA, we are going to work on the field validation, bulk operations, and select field type. That's the only field type that we don't have currently. And we will work on localization. So what are the differences? So this is like, whenever I talk about Content Hub 1, the first question I get is, what is the difference between Content Hub and Content Hub 1, and also Content Hub 1 and XM Cloud? When we look at Content Hub versus Content Hub 1 first, this is basically a slice of Content Hub. So if you know a bit about Content Hub, we have the CMP actually was doing the authoring and modeling and publishing as well. However, the customers don't want to pay that much of the money to buy Content Hub. They want a slice of it so that they can actually just use the part that they need. So some customers are not interested in buying the DAM or operations part. They only would like to buy the modeling and authoring part. So that was one of the key point for us, what we learned from our first experience with CMP. And when we look at a bit deep dive to this, so if the customer wants a more holistic experience where there is a DAM, there is an MRM, and they would like to actually plan the content and have all those fancy views that Content Hub provides, then the solution would still for them to go Content Hub. Content Hub 1 is really all about simplicity and fast experience building, which has, I already mentioned the features here. What about XM Cloud and Content Hub, like which CMS that you need to be using? This really depends on what the customer needs, what the users need. To me, the first question we should be asking if a customer comes to us is, how does your marketing team work? Because headless requires a technical team in your marketing team, but also a different understanding on creation of the content, because it doesn't have actually the preview where the marketing people used to see and play with. So there won't be a preview unless a preview is built. So that's why I always ask how does the marketing team work and how do they want to work? Because in some companies, they are actually well aware of the fact that they are currently maybe using with the Wix and in edits tools, like more XM Cloud kind of experiences. but they would like to switch to more structured content. And then we can always offer them Content Hub 1. XM Cloud is still the successor of XM in the cloud, and it would have, if you would like to build faster web experiences, that would still be for your go-to product. But we also see a lot of cases where most of the customer have a CMS, like XM or XM Cloud, and they build experiences still, their main experiences maybe with that, but then there isn't another team wants to be onboarded, but they don't want to be using a traditional CMS that it's used by their company. Then they are looking for another second CMS to basically start fast and build the experiences fast. And that's where Content Hub 1 comes in. So that's about it on the slides. I know everyone wants to see the UI, so I will quickly move to the demo. So Content Hub 1 is located in Sitecore portal, cloud portal. Sorry, it's end of the day. My words are not coming easily, really. Next XM Clouds Content Hub 1 is the second product that is going to be accessible in Cloud Portal, together with Sitecore Search and Connect as well. We are GAing all together. So when we go to the homepage, so I'm going to quickly walk through the product, and then I'll just quickly showcase a couple of examples to you. So this is a temporary homepage, so it will change. That's why I'm not going to walk through it, but you would still be able to access to the documentation and the support and the learning experiences as well. So the application is for the GA is really simple. As I said, it really takes the slide of the content modeling, authoring, and publishing. So we have content types page where you can basically just create a new content type. Once you create it, I'll just open a one that has all the field types. So you can, so currently we have all these field types available. As I mentioned, post GA, there will be also select field type, like a selected vocabulary or option list type of a field or tags will be available. So you can basically just, let's add a media, add a carousel, and you can make it required, and you can also put a validation. The validation bits also won't be there for GA. We are now hiding these because we couldn't finish the backend, but this will come right after the GA basically. So I'll just put this on, and I can click on save right now, and my content type will be saved. So then we have also the content bits of it. So let's now find the sample article again, which has all the fields that I needed. Here you can see the content creation experience is quite simple. It's really just focusing on the content that you are going to write. Let's maybe make some changes here and then save this one. Once I save it, my content will be changed, and basically I can then publish it. And once the publishing here in progress is done, it will be changed to published. We also have the media. This really offers a basic capability of a media where you can upload an asset. Currently, everything is on, there are my, let me just give me a moment to find the, so you can just upload an image and reuse this image in a media field, basically, that is available in the content type. Right after the GA, we will work on bulk uploads. We know that that's an improvement point that we need to do. And here is how it looks like. Basic for now, we just kept a simple metadata. But you can also, when you're using through GraphQL, you can actually apply transformations on the fly according to your choice. Then another part of the app, and this is the last part, is more relevant to the developers. You can create API keys for delivery and preview APIs. Basically, it's really straightforward. We would add here a connection to the endpoints and the documentation until the GA, so that you don't necessarily jump between the docs and application itself. And if you would like to use our content management API, you can always get the ID and secret from the application itself. So now I'm going to show you a quick demo. I think I still have a lot of time, so I will just jump here. So this is a demo page we built for our demo purposes. So this has a header, as you see here, and a main highlights. And then we have some section that has some albums, then some podcasts and so on. So this homepage can be structured as a modeling as you see here. So I have a header and I have some sections here where I actually structure my content in a way that it's going to capture every section in this homepage. And then on this homepage, then there are some content items that I can basically link them to each other. So all this content model I already created in our Content Hub 1 instance. So what I'm going to just show you for demo purposes is basically adding another field here called the team. So what I need to do for that is basically creating a menu item called the team, and then linking that to my header that is located in my homepage. So let's now go to the content. I will quickly create a menu item called team. I'm not gonna add a link. And I'll publish this. While this is publishing, I will then go to my header. So this is the header. Currently, I have 3 headers here, as you can see here. So my header has a logo and 3 menu items. I'll just add another menu item here. This would be image field. This demo was built way before. Now we have a media field that you can embed, but right now it's fetching a URL basically from our DAM actually. So I'll save this and click on publish as well. So now my publishing is in progress. In the meantime, I'm going to go to my homepage content type. If I can see. Here it is. So as you see, my content type is a header, a highlight, a release section. So it actually follows exactly what I showed you here. I already made the changes, so I don't necessarily need to do anything in this homepage because it's already linked to my header component, which now has 4 menu items in there. And that's published. And if this is published, the other one as well. So I'll come here and refresh. And as you see on the top, we have the team is showing. So if you basically really, and most probably already know this, but the whole point of this is if you structure your page layout and content layout in a really granular way, then the updates are just going to take a couple of minutes to make the content update and the changes with Content Hub 1. This actually concludes my demo. I went in the half of time, but I'm happy to take questions. Let me stop sharing.
So that's really interesting. I don't see any question in the chat, but please feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Let me see.
Oh, there's a question from Juan David. Yeah, Sitecore is providing a sandbox or POC to partners.
Currently, we are only taking the partners for early availability program. So if you have a customer, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, someone just wrote, but then I think it's full. Okay. So currently we are.
Sorry, let's go on. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay. So we are currently only taking the partners who actually have a customer use case so that they can already onboard and help us on the early availability. But if you wait a couple of more weeks, then as of 8th of December, the partners can also request a sandbox that they can come in and play with it, basically.
Cool.
There's also another question. Sorry, but in the same question from Juan, it's asking about guidelines to migrate from Sitecore XM to Content Hub 1. I think that's also could explain during the comparison between the different products. But yeah, what is your opinion on that?
We currently don't offer a path. As I mentioned, this is really the MVP. So we only focused on getting an end-to-end use case to be completed. On the next 6 months, what we would be focused on would be 2 tracks. So working on the features that I mentioned in the presentation, but at the same time, where Content Hub 1 sits in the content on the Sitecore stack. So what would be the relation with them, Content Hub them? How would we work with XM Cloud? How would we work with XM? But as a path of taking the data on XM, moving to Content Hub 1, we currently don't offer any import-export or any migration tool.
Yeah, that's clear. And also, there's another question on your demo. Where is hosted the rendering layer and which technology?
Where is the rendering layer? Currently, this demo, we built it on Vercel. But we don't sell it as a pack. So we only really just provide a data layer. Where you're going to host your front end, that's really a choice of the user.
Yeah, so it's really omnichannel driven, meaning that content got published through the experience edge. So then you can use whatever you want in the front end. Is technology agnostic, as we mentioned at the beginning, right?
Yeah, correct. So we are really not offering any. But of course, now we just had a meeting with our developer advocacy team where they would be offering some starter kits and stuff, so that we would still have some not side, but like offer some guidance, of course, but it's not like bundled like in XM Cloud, for example.
Yeah, makes sense. A question for Hugo. Can you manage language versions in Content Hub?
Not yet, no, but it's basically would be on that feature parity track that we are going to focus on the upcoming months. That would be one of the first items that we would be covering.
Ram, feel free to unmute. Okay. So I just have a question from a customer standpoint, Ezgi. So we see the content delivery mechanism is the same for Content Hub 1 and the XM Cloud. Both are using powerful experience edge to pass the JSON and mode delivering through GraphQL. Mm-hmm. And content modeling is also quite similar. We have XM Cloud, which is really powerful. We have been using Sitecore for a while. We know how it works with the templates, together with the presentation. Of course, we are going to have some personalization added to it. In Content Hub 1, we have the the Content Hub mechanism of using schemas to create our content modeling. So we have quite similar products, quite powerful products, which can deliver the content. At the end, it's the delivery mechanism. Both of these are really, really powerful. Mm-hmm. So as a customer, it's quite difficult for me to choose which one to go for, like one or XM Cloud. So what's your opinion here? Which one to choose as a customer, and when to choose and when not to choose?
Yeah, to me, I can answer this from two directions, I would say. So the first one is, yes, we are using the same technology behind the scenes, but actually what we are publishing to the endpoint is different when you compare XM Cloud and Content Hub 1. Content Hub 1 is pure content, but for XM Cloud, it's layout and the content. So if your customer is looking for the same type of layout and faster experience by using the same type of page layouts, like they have 200 websites that they look like the same as a layout, but the content might be different, then maybe it's a better choice for them to go XM Cloud. So if we are looking for web experiences that it needs to be produced faster, and again, the beginning of the conversation, the presentation, how does your marketing team wants to work? So if they're still looking for a WYSIWYG, then XM Cloud. If they want to own their data and host in their cloud, then it's XM. Like the separation is really about how do you want to work. That's all I always ask to the first customer that whenever I have a meeting, I first ask, how do you work and how do you want to work? Because that's really actually the key driver in here, from a customer standpoint. Because we don't want to also sell them that something they're not going to be able to use if the marketing team only has one developer, let's say. because then they cannot use really headless if they're a big marketing team with one developer only. So it's, to me, really understanding how the team structure, how they're resourcing in their team, and what type of cases they need to solve. Because the previous name was Headless CMS, so I keep saying Headless CMS still. It just changed recently, so if you hear Headless CMS, it's Content Hub 1. So Content Hub 1 focuses on content reusability. So if it's multi-channel or omni-channel, other than web, then Content Hub 1 might be a better choice. At this stage, if they're looking for localization, versioning, Extend Cloud is a better choice because we don't have any of these. So it's a bit like what the customer wants and where do they want to go, I think. And then I would say the direction would be
so it is more like a digital factory kind of setup than XM Cloud. It is more campaign marketing than one. But I would say like one is really powerful with complete SaaS, which XM Cloud is trying to move towards. So I guess the customer can still choose them pretty wisely.
Ezgi, another question from me. Can you clarify the media library in Content Hub 1? Is it just for images, or will we be able to upload videos or any type of assets?
Currently, it's only images. Video and PDF support is the next items we are going to focus on. Right now, we started as just certain types of images.
Okay. Thanks.
There's also one more question before that. Vercel Sitecore connector with XM Cloud. Should we need a connector to use Content Hub 1? Content Hub 1 really publishes the data to the endpoint. After that, however you're going to link or fetch the data in your presentation, you don't necessarily need an additional connector. It's just an endpoint that you can fetch the content. There is no specific connector that we provide. You won't need it necessarily.
Yeah, that's pretty much clear. I think there is no more questions.
There is a question saying XM Cloud pages versus Content Hub 1 question mark. I think this means, will there be a connection between these two? So if not, please let me know. Yeah, we are looking for what would be like the story, of course. Eventually where we want to go is more plug and play even within our apps basically that we provide. So components, pages, can they use Content Hub 1 as a data source? That's definitely something we are going to look at in the upcoming 6 to 12 months. You're welcome.
Great. I think it was a really, really interesting presentation. Thanks a lot again for your time. It's a really exciting product, so I think that's why people is making a lot of questions. So we really appreciate to have you joining us for this session. There seems like there's no more questions, so we can finish here. And I think we can take, if everybody it's fine, 5 minutes break. So we grab a coffee or something, and then we're gonna get Sebastian, presenting about XM Cloud. So
thank you for the invite also.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks everyone.
Okay, great. Thanks. And thanks for inviting me again. Right, so today is about XM Cloud. It's G8 since, or globally generally available since Symposium. And last time I visited your user group, I gave some insights, but I think more high level. So this time I thought about doing more a demo and fill up the waiting time with slides and your questions, and so that we can experience what XM Cloud actually is. And I've seen those questions in the chat already, like what might be the difference. So maybe this gives some clearance, like what's the difference to Content Hub 1 that you just saw, right? For whomever doesn't know me, my name is Sebastian. I'm developer advocate at Sitecore. yeah, I work with Sitecore since 8+ years. I've also been an MVP before I joined Sitecore, and now since 3 years or nearly 4 years, I'm working for Sitecore. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm active on Twitter. Right. So we've seen the Sitecore product stack already, so we will quickly jump over that. But I'm not sure if you're all familiar with XM Cloud, so I give a brief introduction to set everyone on the same level. And then we directly jump into the demo, basically, or we start the demo before and then go through the slides as I said. So we will see the Sitecore Cloud portal that also Ezgi showed already, where she had her starting point into Content Hub 1. And then we will see the Sitecore Deploy app in action. You get to know actually how to get started with your own projects. What development modes are available, basically, and then yeah, if there is some time left, we can also take a look into pages and maybe have a quick look on how XM and XM Cloud compares, or where are currently differences, and then also have a quick look on the roadmap. So I hope we can squeeze everything in. I'll try my best, and yeah, let's just get started. So you've seen that either on Symposium or on the previous slides that Sitecore's offering has been, yeah, has growing a lot, especially with the acquisitions, but not only. So also Sitecore is implementing new products on their own. Everything is divided into different clouds, just to give a better understanding and grouping of what offerings we actually have. So beside the private cloud that we always had with Experience Manager, Experience Platform, or Experience Commerce, we have also the public cloud offering, which are our SaaS products. And the public cloud then divides into the content cloud, which I would say is still our foundation, with the successor of XM and XP, which is XM Cloud, but also new content management capabilities coming with Content Hub 1 that you just saw, the DAM or Content Hub operations, and then new, we have also Sitecore Search coming for global availability soon. And then we have the Engagement Cloud, we have Commerce Cloud. So at Symposium, yeah, slightly thickened here. We had those announcements about Content Hub 1. We had the announcement about Sitecore Search, and we had the announcement in the Engagement Cloud about Connect. You've seen that already presented, so I don't go deeper into that, and we completely focus about XM Cloud right now. So right, and enough of words for now. Let's directly have a look. Is that the right screen? Can you see my browser?
Yes,
yep.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So right. So this is the Sitecore portal, same thing that Ezgi just showed. We can see the apps that we have available. So you can see I also have a Content Hub 1 app here and a lot of XM Cloud instances. And what we are going to do now is we start completely from scratch, and you might have seen those demos already. If not, then yeah, stay tuned. So what I will do here the Sitecore Cloud portal is really the entry point to the composable world. So all of the composable products will be available in here. And so each author, but also each developer will start the journey basically to the applications here. You can manage your users in the admin section and invite new members. You can switch. So if you're working, for example, for different organizations, different clients, for example, you can switch between those. Let me just see. So we have here a switcher, and I can switch between different organizations. In my case, it's just Sitecore internal ones. I can manage my apps. I have some quick actions to go further. I have some helpful links here on the right side. So yeah, so the journey starts in the Sitecore Cloud portal. And what I will do is I will create now a new project, and I will explain also in a minute what projects and environments and all of that is. But what we can see here is we jumped into the deploy app, so the XM Cloud deploy app. So we are already in one part of XM Cloud. And we can basically spin up a new XM Cloud instance by just creating a new project. And we can either do that from our own source code repository, or we can take a static template, basically. So I would recommend, if you are getting started with XM Cloud, just want to take a look into it, but also if you don't have a repository yet that you're working on, always start from the starter template. You have useful stuff in there. It's basically really something to get started from. So let's do that, hit next. And currently from the starter template section, we only have one available, which is the XM Cloud Foundation. So that includes, for example, headless SXA and JSS, and also the headless SXA out of the box components, which we will see in a minute. And what I will do, I will give that project a name. So I can say this is for my Sitecore user group France. Hit next. And currently in the deploy app, you can only connect, or let's start it differently. What the app is trying to do here is it's trying to copy over the starter kit into your own source code repository. However, currently in that process, we only have a connection to GitHub. That doesn't mean that you can't use any other source code repositories. You can use whatever you like. It's just that the app currently is limited to that. However, there is also the Sitecore command line interface plugin for the Sitecore CLI that allows you to do any kind of XM Cloud commands, basically to deploy and to create environments and all of that. So you can still automate and manage everything from there, even if you're using a different GitHub source code repository. So if we hit next, if you haven't gone through that process, you would need to connect your GitHub account. I did that already, so I'm just selecting it from a list. So that's my private GitHub account. Hit next and give that a repository name. So I call that SUGFrance for now. And say next. And last but not least, I'm giving an environment name. So let's say this is my dev environment. And I can say if this is actually a productive or non-productive environment. The difference is a bit in scaling, but also in terms of SLAs. So for now, this is not a productive environment. So I say no. And I could also directly connect my deployment process. So whenever I do a change on my repository, that could trigger a deployment to my XM Cloud instance. So for now, I probably want that and say yes, and then start the deployment. So that will lead me into another part of the XM Cloud deploy app, which is giving me logs about like what's currently happening. So in parallel, what's getting started now is the provisioning of the environment. So creating all the necessary stuff and tiers that I basically need. I have always the possibility to look into the logs and see what's happening, and at the same time, it's also starting the build of the application. And once the provisioning and build is done, the deployment can get started. And once the deployment is done, I can access my XM Cloud environment, but in the background, then some further post actions will be run. That is, for example, creating the indexes and re-indexing my content for the content management experience. So it looks a bit as if there is nothing happening, but that will change in a bit. And the process takes around 10 minutes. So let's just jump back to the slides for now and see what we got. And let me just keep an eye on this one. So I move it here and go further with the slides. Right, so demo is running. So XM Cloud is same as Content Hub 1. It's also a headless software as a service content management system, but compared to competitors or also then Content Hub 1, we have a much richer set of features, as you know it from XM as well. So we have the layouting functionalities, which is one of the biggest differentiators, but also a lot of tooling around a website or web-centric experience. So under the hood, we find a re-architected XM instance. So that's our content management instance, but you will see it's more or less the same. We have a content editor in there, we have experience editor in there, but exclusively to XM Cloud so far. We have some other tools in there, like Sitecore Pages. The new what you see is what you get editing experience that you only get currently with XM Cloud, and it will not be available for XM or XP, for example. And you have some other tooling that we also should take a look in. Now, along with XM Cloud, you also get the build and deployment tooling. So we've seen already the deploy app. So that comes with XM Cloud. We've seen the Sitecore Cloud Portal, which is also part of XM Cloud. Let's say it's a solution of its own, but if you want to go for XM Cloud, you also get Sitecore Cloud Portal. So there's no extra tooling or licensing that you have to do for that. So that's always within any of the SaaS offerings that we have that are currently connected to the Sitecore Cloud Portal. We have headless delivery through Edge. So Edge is basically a geo-distributed delivery layer, which we publish our content to, and which offers a GraphQL endpoint so that you can build your front-end applications, or it can be also something else. Basically, it can be anything that connects to the GraphQL endpoint. In my examples, you will usually find an Next.js application. That's what I'm building here, but that doesn't mean that you can't use anything else. And last but not least, here we have also the so-called editing host, which is an internal rendering host. It's at the end, it's a node server, so it can run any of your JavaScript-based front ends. And the reason why we have it is to immediately have Experience Editor and Pages working so that they know how to render the layout from the content that you create. If you're going for another technology that's not JavaScript-based or that can run on a node server, such as ASP.NET Core, then you would require to configure another rendering host for Pages or Experience Editor. That's not a big thing. I'm just saying, so out of the box, we have that bundled with an editing host for JavaScript-based frontends. Right. As already mentioned, you can develop with any front-end technology that can read from a GraphQL endpoint. So it's not limited to Next.js, or you can use Angular, Vue, you can use .NET Core. There are plenty. And you don't have to host your front-end application on Vercel. I hear that question very often. Of course, you can use any kind of hosting provider that you like. So hosting your front-end application is all yours. The content management experience is all basically done by Sitecore. So if we just summarize the advantages of XM Cloud here, it's SaaS, so you don't have hosting efforts for it, right? So you don't need to care about, like, where do I host it, how do I scale it? That's all. You subscribe to it basically, and then you're good to go. You're getting continuous updates. So Sitecore XM Cloud has been branched off of Sitecore 10.3, but we are already in, let's say, 10.4, even though the release numbers do not match. But there's really a constant update cycle. Like, there can be changes on a daily basis or like 2 or 3 times a week. Even fun fact, I did a presentation on Symposium, and 3 hours later, there was a presentation by Andy Cohen, and I saw that my presentation was already outdated. So you will also see some screenshots that are already outdated. It's hard to follow up with all the changes coming. So it's complete different than XM or XP release cycles that we had on a half-year basis. So yeah, you still have the freedom to deploy to your CM any content management adjustments or customizations that you need. You should always raise the question if you really need that, because it definitely makes sense to treat it more as a SaaS product. So let's say, even though you can, doesn't say that you have to do it like that, right? And you can serialize your items for sure. So there's Sitecore content serialization available to bring your items from your source code repository into the XM Cloud environment, or serialize it back into your content repository. We've seen the deployment tooling. At least we've seen the deploy app. I mentioned what you see is what you get editing experience with pages, components. Well, experience editor is a known old friend. We have the GraphQL endpoint for the fast headless delivery. We have JSS and headless SXA included. So in the past, I think there was some extra licensing to it. So it's now baked into the base image of XM Cloud. So it's there. You don't have to use it, but yeah, my recommendation is to use it. You have embedded personalization, which is based on Sitecore Personalize. It has a nice integration with a rule editor. It's not exactly what Personalize offers. So Personalize offers much more than you will get as the embedded version in XM Cloud. But for some customers, that's already the level of personalization that they need, and it fulfills already a lot. We have embedded analytics also here. CDP can do probably, or it can do much more than we get out of the box in XM Cloud. However, a version of CDP is already integrated with XM Cloud. And what's coming next is also embedded A/B testing. So this is on the list, and I don't have a date, but it should come very soon. And together with the Sitecore Cloud Portal, we have unified identity. So there's no identity server anymore, but all the single sign-on experience is handled basically with the unified identity. So so all the single sign-on across, yeah, the idea is across all the composable stack. But even if you are using the CLI and need to authenticate against XM Cloud, if you've done it once, you don't have to do it again. It's all single sign-on. So we've seen the Sitecore Cloud Portal already, so I just quickly jump over that. I mentioned that, like, you can be part of an organization, and I will explain also the terminology. I will explain in more detail. We've seen that to manage the XM Cloud projects, to manage the apps, and the user management. So let's explain a bit more on what the terminology of organizations, projects, and environments map to, let's say. So in XM Cloud, or no, it's not XM Cloud specific, in the Sitecore Cloud Portal, you are part of an organization when you have a subscription with any of the products. So the XM Cloud, so the organization is basically the company that has the contract with Sitecore to do something, right? And that's the starting point. You can also register just yourself, but then you can't do much in the Sitecore Cloud Portal. However, you can utilize that to authenticate for your local XM Cloud experience. So you don't need to have an organization to run XM Cloud locally, but we come to that a little bit later. Then we have projects. So a project can be seen as, so if we see the organization as the head company, then it could be that this company serves several brands. And there are cases where you would provide a different solution for each brand just to separate it completely. So if you want to separate the code base in different solutions, that's probably where you would separate it also into different projects. And then each project can have different environments that can be non-productive environments like the dev environment or QA or you name it. And then for sure also productive environments like prod. And each environment holds then a Sitecore XM Cloud content management instance. And Sitecore for sure is still multi-site, multi-tenancy capable. So you don't have to differentiate sites by projects, for example, right? So you can run as many sites as you like from your content management instance in one environment. Right, so my deployment is still ongoing. So I will come back to the demo once this is done. Right. So we've seen the we've seen the deploy portal. So from here, you can manage the project. You've seen us, or you've seen me created a new project and creating a new environment. And yeah, you can manage everything from here. You can see your running deployments. You can see the logs of your deployments. So it's basically managing all your the deployer is basically managing all your environment related stuff. You can also create a new site from XM Cloud, and you will see that in the next demo that I do. And yeah, and basically manage all your environments. We've seen the logs. So this is already, as you can see, this is already an old screenshot because it doesn't have the post deploy steps, just the first three. And but yeah, it's constantly improving. And last but not least, we have the CLI, where you can basically do everything you can do with the app and even a bit more. So you can log in, you can log out, you can manage your projects, like creating them, deleting them, creating new environments, and then deploy to those environments. And this the CLI comes especially handy when you have some features not in the deployer, but also when you want to automate things or have your own deployment pipeline. There can be several reasons why you want to use the CLI. It's there, yeah, basically can be used. So I'm coming to the demo as well. And one thing I wanted to show you in between while the deployment is still running. Let me just bring that screen here on. So you can see the provisioning and the build has been executed so far. You can also see the times that it took. So today it's 2 minutes more than usually for whatever reasons. But as those two run in parallel, the total time was now approximately 12 minutes for the first two steps. And now the deployment is running. So what this all did was, if I take a look into my source code repository and just hit F5, you can see that the SXA starter kit has been copied over into my repository and have now the repository named however I wanted it to be named. And yeah, going one back, what you find in here is that's why I say it's a really good starter kit from my perspective, because you have all the Docker Compose files to run it later on locally, and we will talk about that. You have some handy scripts. You have your rendering app already started here with some of the out-of-the-box components delivered with headless SXA. You have examples here, implementation examples for handling different data source cases, and also with a like if you're working with SXA, I think the promo component is very usually a very famous example. So also here it's a good example to handle rendering variants in headless SXA. So we have, for example, the implementation of a default variant and a with text variant, and then the different ways of rendering the components or the markup of it. So deployment is still running. Let me see. Good, then let's get back to the slides. Right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a sample project, right? But this is not what you are aiming at. At the end, you need to fulfill client requirements and you need to develop custom solutions for whatever they need. So what you would start with is basically having you need to decide, or you need to find a way how to develop and how to interact with XM Cloud. And there are basically two ways in achieving that. So the one is the so-called edge mode, and the other one is what we call, let's say, fully local mode. And let's go into one by one. So the edge mode is the way that you would create a rendering host on your local machine, and that can be, if you're going for JavaScript-based frameworks like Next.js or Angular, you would just create a node server, and you can connect this node server against the GraphQL endpoint of your edge delivery layer. and build out your front-end application, pulling in the content that you need to display. So you are connecting against the XM Cloud environment, and you can still interact and deploy to your CM instance. You can still serialize to the CM instance or get the items into your source code repository. However, if you're working on a shared XM Cloud environment and multiple developers are working on the same CM instance, then you might interfere with each other and you might start cherry picking items into your feature branches, which is usually not the best experience. So I would say this is great for everyone who focuses on the front end or on the app development. But when it comes to modeling the content using templates or creating any kind of items, then I would recommend doing it in the way that I will show next. Right. So the other way would be to run your XM Cloud instance fully local. So you can achieve that by having Docker containers, which are Windows based, so probably not running on a Mac. But the other way, like the one I showed you, the edge mode, as you only run a node server, that would also run on a Mac. Now, when you run it fully local, you have your CM instance locally. It's powered by Solr and a SQL server. You have your rendering and editing host, and you have traffic to manage all the requests. What you don't have locally, because it simply doesn't make sense, is Edge. So you would connect against the graphical endpoint of your CM instance, which gives you the same experience like the Edge graphical endpoint. But however, you don't need that geographically distributed, I think. So this way you are fully independent on your local machine. You can model your content using templates. You can create customizations, and you can differentiate that and put it all in your source code repository into your feature branches and deploy that towards production. So I would say that that's more the experience that Sitecore developers used to know. And yeah, whenever you are more of a backend person, that's probably the way to go. However, you don't have to decide, like, it's not written in stone which way to go. Also, during our developments, we often switched between modes. Like if we only worked for the on the front end application app, we just went with the Edge mode. And then when we wanted to create new features and needed to create templates and renderings and all of that, then we went for the local mode. So there are advantages and disadvantages for both. Just choose the one that fits your needs at a particular time. So going back to the deployment, it's actually done and the post actions are running. So let's go to the launchpad that's now called dashboard. And what we will do in here is we will create a new site while it's loading. So anything happening with my Wi-Fi? No, it's coming. There we go. So it looks like the launchpad that we know from XM. We have content editor, media library, experience editor, but also access to the other new tooling like Pages, Components, or Explorer. But let's quickly jump into sites. So from here I can create my an own website, and I can create an empty one or one with some content. So I choose the one with some content and name it SUGFrance. So this is, in the background, it's using SXA, so it might look familiar to you when you've worked with SXA before. And yeah, now it takes approximately another 2 minutes to create that website. Maybe it's even faster, but let's go back 2 slides. Right. So in my symposium talk, was basically all about explaining, or I often get the remarks or questions from the community like, okay, I'm a C#.NET developer, so what's my role in the new composable world. It seems all headless. It seems very JavaScript based. So what am I going to do? And to keep it short here, so that was a talk of its own, but you've recognized that I used a lot of terminology that is around Sitecore since a while. So we have SXA, we have JSS, we have headless development, okay, but we have containers, which was introduced with Sitecore 10. We have Edge, which is also not a new thing, maybe not largely used so far, but we have Sitecore Serialize, also nothing new, and we still have a Sitecore XM. So your knowledge of what you gain from XM or XP is really valuable in the stack that we have right now with all the tooling. Just find out what you lack knowledge in, and ramp up wherever you want, or on those tiles that you lack knowledge. And that's basically what XM Cloud is made of, right? So it's not too fancy, it's not too new, it's a lot of stuff that we already know. Back to my site. So the site has been created. If I click on that, I land in Sitecore Pages. So it's a fresh instance, it's a freshly created site, and I think the performance is quite good. We have some sample pages in here. We have the out-of-the-box components that I can drag and drop. We have a preview in different modes, like on my mobile, on my tablet. I can rotate that. I can manage my content in that view. So I can, for example, click here my promo component, and I have the opportunity to access my rendering parameters. So I can say, well, I want this component maybe not half width of the screen, but in tablet view, I want this maybe larger or smaller with this new with these new controls. And one maybe minor thing, but we often got asked for it, is Pages provides autosave functionality, so you don't have to save yourself. It just does it in the background. So I think it's a quite good experience for what you see is what you get editing. Right. So what we are going to do next. So let's assume we've built out our site, our content is ready. We want to publish that. And we can do that, of course, from here. So we can publish the item. We can also go into content editor. So we basically can publish from everywhere. But we can also publish from our deploy app. So if we go back into the deploy app, you can see I have a user group France project here. And XM Cloud offers to enable experimental features. So that are features that are quite cool already, but they are not supported. However, they can be very useful. I did that, so you can do that as well if you have access to XM Cloud. And what you get with that is, if I go on the project, I can actually click on the environment that I have created. And I can see that I can publish from here. So let's just start that. And I can also set up the hosting. So I can click on set up hosting, and I'll end in the process on creating and publishing and deploying to Vercel. So I can choose a name. So this is pre-created from the project name, environment name, and then the site name. So I would just make it like this. So I call it SUGFrance. And you also have to connect your GitHub repository, which I already did. So I'm just selecting my user here. It always tells you it's an experimental feature. Don't expect support for that, but it works great, at least for all the demos I did so far. So let's save that. And let's start the deployment on Vercel. So I have already host URL, but if I take a look on Vercel and refresh, well, I don't have to refresh. You can see that the deployment has just started. If we take a look. So sorry, the build has just started, and once the build is done, the deployment will start. So approximately in a minute, we will have a live website for the Sitecore user group France on dummy content. But yeah, that's not too bad, I think. Yeah, we leave it for now and go back to the slides. So yeah, we've seen Sitecore pages, not really in action, but we've seen the application, not just the screenshot. So let's have a look on XM and XM Cloud and what they can do and what they can't do, or even take it a bit broader and say, well, we have XM and we have XM on managed cloud, and then we have XM Cloud. It sounds all very similar, but it's actually quite different. Different in the hosting model, but also different in the time to value. I'm not going through all the points here, but just to explain. So you can still have an XM instance, and there can be still good reasons to run an XM instance on your own hosted environments that may be in your private cloud or just on-prem or wherever you need to host it, right? So whenever your customer requires full control over the complete implementation and all the infrastructure, that can be security reasons or maybe also other reasons, then XM is still a good choice, same as XP. If your customer requires control just over the application, not necessarily on the infrastructure itself, then you can ask Sitecore or the managed cloud team to actually manage your infrastructure, and you are just deploying and caring about the application. So that would be the managed cloud offering, but you still run an XM. It's definitely a faster time to market than if you have to set up all your infrastructure yourself, because we are working with standard tiers and standard installations. But the fastest experience, as we can see here in the demo, I would say, is going for XM Cloud, right? So we can spin up new environments. We directly have them at hand. We can directly start implementing in minutes. We have all the tooling about local development ready. So XM Cloud is like, if there's no reason to go for XM, which could be dedicated requirements of your clients, then XM Cloud is really the content management system of your choice, or Content Hub One, depending on the use cases and, as Ezgi said, on how your developers work. If we take a bit deeper look into it, there are a few things that are not yet there or that are different between XM and XM Cloud. So currently, XM Cloud does not provide a forms generator like Sitecore Forms. XM does, but XM Cloud definitely has it on the roadmap. So it's coming. It will be a dedicated SaaS product, but it will be also part of the XM Cloud offering. For what you see is what you get editing. In XM, you have Experience Editor, same as in the XM Cloud, but in XM you have Horizon, and in XM Cloud you have the much richer, in terms of feature set, much richer Pages editor. Sitecore Components is only available for XM Cloud. It will not be available for XM. You have embedded personalization, embedded analytics, and on the roadmap also embedded A/B testing in XM Cloud. In XM, you have basic personalization, so you can do session-based personalization, which is already great, but you don't have any kind of analytics or A/B testing included. You can still run PowerShell on either of them, and for SXA and JSS, it's embedded, as I mentioned. For XM, there can be potential extra costs. You have build and deployment tooling included in XM Cloud, which you would have to build yourself on XM. And there is currently content search on the authoring for both. Sitecore Search has been announced on Symposium, so that will serve the front end experience with search, well as in XM you can utilize Solar out of the box. So that's the difference here. So let's have a look on our website. It should be deployed by now. I think it looks good. Here we are. View domains, isn't that one? No. Which was it? Let me just click here. Right, so we have a live website publicly available in 40 minutes. I think that's even though it's dummy content, it's a great time to value. Right. So I would say, yeah, I've reached my 40 minutes, so I don't want to go over time. Let's do the following. There's definitely one thing I don't want to miss, and that's not saying thank you, that I will definitely do, but I want to point out that there is already some good material out there. There is an FAQ documentation on the developer portal. There is an introduction article, there's a product article. They all link great further materials like introduction videos. In the XM Cloud introduction article, if you scroll down, you find also a lot of links to areas that I use to ramp up my knowledge about different areas like containers or headless development. So yeah, just there is also documentation, not to forget about that. Just saying there is already a ton of material out there to give you a good start. And yeah, with that, I'd like to thank you. I hope I wasn't too much over time, and not sure if there are some questions.
It's perfect. Thanks a lot, Sebastian. There are a couple of questions, and also feel free to unmute and ask your questions. I think we still have 5 minutes to spend on question and answer. So one of the question is from me actually. So when you do the integration with Vercel, right, and you also have the option to listen the repo to deploy automatically to XM Cloud, is also triggering the deployment to Vercel, or it's installing the Vercel app also into the repo? What is this connection doing? Do you know?
Yes. So you can do that manually. I've also created a video on how to do that manually, but that was already outdated a few weeks later. So what you would have to do manually is, of course, deploying your app to Vercel, right? That's what this does for you. But also in terms of configuration, you would have to tell Vercel, okay, this is my repo. This is the folder that contains my app. And these are the environment variables that I need. So the GraphQL endpoint, the edge token that you need to in order to authenticate, and then also your site name. So all of that is done for you with this, let's say, a few clicks that we went through the wizard, right? So you can do that yourself, and you would have to do that if you choose another app hosting provider. I mean, that's the first version, and the product team is definitely listening to the market. And if there is the need to support also others, it will be supported. But for now, first step is Vercel is like, yeah, you've seen it, right? So it's a very easy way on having a live website and deployed. Yeah.
Yeah, clear. But my question was more about when you set up the project and you select to deploy automatically when there is a commit to the branch, right? Let's say you are using the, I don't know, the main branch, and then when it's a commit there, it will deploy to XM Cloud. But if you have the connection made with Vercel, it will also deploy to both XM Cloud and then Vercel, or
Yes.
this is not happening automatically? It does.
No, that's done automatically. So whenever you do now a merge or commit on your main branch, it will trigger deployment to both. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Another question is it flexible and easy, or is it even possible to customize the site templates? I mean, the ones that you have to choose for create a new site from the wizard in XM Cloud.
It's not yet. So I know the SXA team is working on that to provide an experience like we knew it. So if you've used SXA before, there was the clone site feature, for example. So you could create your own site and then clone it from there, especially if you need to roll out several country sites or have a template, basically a templated site for landing pages or microsites or anything like that. So it will be behind the scenes, it will be very similar, just with a different experience in the UI, I would say, where so from the ideas that I've seen, it will be that you create your template sites, let's say, and then and these will be available then in this dialog to choose from. So it's not only the site that we've seen, but you will be able to extend that, but not right now. It's coming.
Okay, great. Thanks. Ram, you have a question? I think.
Yes, that's right. I just have a quick question, Sebastian, like a couple of questions. So the first one is like how to view logs of XM instance So I tried to look into that, but I couldn't really find like, because the XM instance is running in a pod. So is it by any chance we'll be able to see the live logs in the CM instance?
I need to double check. I've seen that there is a way to get some of the logs. You mean of your Sitecore instance, for example, right?
Yeah, exactly. The CM instance which is running.
I've seen that. I just can't show you where it is because I don't know by heart. So let me take
Sure,
this
no
question.
problem at all. And the second question is like, let's say the organization or the customer would like to use their own registry to maintain the images that they build for the XM Cloud, maybe for security reasons, maybe for something else, and they can probably try to use their own registry. So now, so it's to use it's kind of to reuse the images and to reduce the build time that normally we have in the XM Cloud deployment. Is it possible to have custom build agent or container registry connected to the XM Cloud deployment pipeline?
No, so you're always building on the base image of XM Cloud. You can't, as far as I know, you can't add your own images to it. So that's the basis and the baseline.
So we kind of create our own image on top of the base image. So this custom image that we create, is it possible to be hosted in our registry to reduce the build time and then just deploy directly from this?
The only thing you can do is, or the only customizations that you can do is in your source code repository. So you can deploy DLLs, but you can't have a custom image or base image or combine that. No, so it's all based on XM Cloud, and that's it.
Cool. Okay.
But also, if we talk about, there's always the question on modules to install additionally on XM Cloud, and you can still do that. However, with the next deployment, it will get overwritten. So whenever you want to have a module or some packages being installed, you need to take this into your solution. So you need to basically divide it into its parts, build it into your solution, and that's it. That's why, for example, headless SXA and JSS is already baked into the base image. And also the Content Hub connector and CDP connector are in the meanwhile also baked into the base image. So they are already part of XM Cloud natively, let's say, right? But any other module that you might have used in the past, you can bring it back using your deployment routines.
Cool. Understood. That's clear.
I think some cleanup on the functionalities it's still required, because I find weird that for example, the package installation which are still there, right? I mean, it makes sense to test something quickly, but then it's gonna be quickly overridden by the new deployment that is happening quite often now. Okay, so there's no more questions, at least in the chat. Does anybody have any other questions?
There is someone raising his hand.
Yeah.
Satya?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so first of all, Sebastian, thank you so much for taking us through the kind of like XM Cloud capabilities as well as features. Couple of terminologies, it's really kind of like impressing. And especially being an XM developer, when we see the catchy words like embedded analytics and forms, not yet though. So it's a forms. These are all kind of like really cool stuff. Just trying to understand, or like would like to hear back from you in terms of privacy and data retention policy for that kind of like a personalization data. Let's say forms data in the future, like explicit personal information will be stored, right? So how are we going to leverage them as a kind of like business user, or like how are we going to use it for other systems like Salesforce or some other system needed those? How are we going to leverage them?
I'm not sure if I got the question right. So let me try to rephrase what I understood, and you can hook in if I'm wrong. So what I understood is how analytics data is gathered and how you can utilize that also in other products or other like third-party systems. Is that correct understanding? And same for the data that you gather with forms. Like if someone submits a form, it's stored somewhere, and you want to make that available.
Yeah, true. That's a question.
Okay, great. So as I said, embedded analytics and embedded personalization is based on personalized in CDP. So it's stored in the way that they do it. I'm actually not very familiar with both tools, but I know that they have the APIs as well, so that you can utilize this data for any. You can export that data, or you can use that data for any other purposes. It's stored in the data centers or in the locations that you provision that. I'm not sure how it is for personalized in CDP. I know for XM Cloud, you can choose currently between 5 or 6 regions where you can have your XM Cloud instance deployed, like Western Europe or Northwest, whatever, US. I don't know the regions by heart. And that's the same for all the SaaS products, as far as I know. So you can usually choose from certain regions where it should be stored, which usually also covers a lot of the requirements that you might have to keep data, for example, in the European Union or in the US or something like that. For forms, I expect it's going to be the same. However, I haven't seen forms, and I don't think it has been developed yet. It's in process of being developed. But if you would take any other forms provider as a SaaS provider that you would, like if you're going for XM Cloud now and you would require a forms generation tool, then you would go for any other provider that does that. And then I believe that most of them are offering also different regions where you can host your data, and then APIs to actually work with that data to export it to a third-party system and so on. So that's usually the pattern that I see for all the SaaS products at Sitecore, and also with competitors.
Yeah, got it. It answers. So if I understood correctly, this XM Cloud comes up with CDP2, like a composable product features as a complement, isn't it?
Yes, in a very lightweight version. So it's not full CDP, and it's not fully provisioned personalized. And you also don't have access to the, let's say, the back-end tooling of it. But it's stored in CDP and personalized, and you have the APIs as far as I know. But you have integrations directly in XM Cloud where you can utilize the data. For example, you have a rules engine, something like that, similar to what we know from XM or XP, where you can choose from certain rules and then personalize your page experiences by data coming from personalized and CDP.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian. And since you mentioned it's a kind of like lightweight version, do you have any documentations currently available to understand like what and all can be leveraged or can be used as part of XM Cloud?
I need to check. I know that Dylan Young is working on some material, and I need to double check if there should be documentation. I'm not sure how good that is.
Got it. Thanks, Sebastian. We will keep looking for that information from the community. Thanks, Annie. Thanks for the answer.
Great. So again, thanks a lot, Sebastian. Presentation was amazing, and I think everybody in the call got a really good understanding and overview on XM Cloud, and yeah, how fun it's working with it. So let's go to the next topic. Vinay, whenever you are ready, please share a screen and go.
Yeah, Miguel, thank you. So let me share my screen. Okay. I'll just minimize this part. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, Miguel, for introducing me. So hello all, I am Vinay Jadav. I am a Sitecore senior developer here at SUGFrance. So you can follow me on Twitter at MRVinayKJ. You can follow my blog on vinayjadav.com. So I'll be presenting the Gatsby plugin for Sitecore CDP, which I built to connect Gatsby as a front-end framework with Sitecore CDP. So today's agenda is going to be, I'll be discussing I'll just give a brief about Sitecore CDP. I'll introduce you to Gatsby. I'll tell you what Gatsby plugins are all about. I'll tell you what the plugin that I've built for Sitecore CDP does, and I'll give you a short demo on how it can be deployed and how it can be used, and we'll have a Q&A session. So as we all know, Sitecore CDP, also known as Boxever, was one of the first acquisitions for the composable stack for Sitecore. So it's designed to drive exceptional experiences on all digital channels. It's basically omni-channel. So it also has core data management capabilities of a CDP. So it has decisioning, predictive analytics, experimentation, and orchestration. So apart from being an analytics provider, it also comes with a lot more capabilities that you can use. It also actually comes with an AI itself, so you can have analytics and you can show certain data to the user. So Gatsby is a React-based open source framework. It comes with its own performance, scalability, and security. It's really good. It's similar to Next.js, if to give a rough picture. So it offers a plugin architecture, which makes it stand out, through which it can connect to various headless technology with only the configuration. In a lot of cases, you don't need to write a lot of code. You just have to give the configuration and Gatsby runs with the plugins. So Gatsby also comes with its own cloud platform, which is actually free for basic hosting. So you can host your sites and they're accessible at blazing fast speed. It's really good. So you can learn more about Gatsby.js on gatsbyjs.com. So Gatsby plugins, Gatsby actually comes with a plugin architecture. So it has a plugin layer where you can include a variety of common website functionality. So these plugins can be used for various purposes. You can use it to connect to a data source for a headless CMS. For example, you can connect with WordPress, you can connect with Shopify for commerce. I think you can also connect with Contentful. There are various connectors. You can connect to an analytics library, such as Google Analytics. You can also connect to Sitecore CDP now with this plugin. You can enhance your performance with CSS libraries, maybe using SAS or CSS, etc. You can support functionalities for SEO, such as sitemaps, RSS feeds. You can have a robots plugin. So you don't have to explicitly build something like that. You can just take the plugin and use it there. So to see the plugins that are available, you can go to the Gatsby plugin library at gatsbyjs.com/plugins. You can also build your own custom plugins. This is the URL that is there. You can see how you can build your own custom plugins, and it need not be exposed to public actually. So you can create your plugin as a local plugin. So the Gatsby plugin for Sitecore CDP is designed to allow you to track your events across your website without any need for other configuration. So it should be as simple as you give the configuration and you start tracking your users. It's as simple as that. And you can choose to track your events for debugging your events. So there is a certain configuration which allows you to debug your events also. It shows what kind of events are being sent to Sitecore CDP, what response you get. You can also exclude certain pages in your website, which if you do not want to be tracked by Sitecore CDP. If you have any developer pages or maybe you have a 404 error page you do not want to track, that can also be excluded. If you want to read more, you can visit my GitHub repository for the Gatsby plugin Sitecore CDP. So we'll go over a demo. I'll just go to the, so this is a Gatsby starter site. Can I hide this? Okay, yeah. So this is a Gatsby starter site. You can find various starters on the Gatsby JS website. You can just Google for it, and there are several starters that you can use to get started with Gatsby. So I have one hosted here right now. It doesn't have Sitecore CDP integrated as of now. It has only like 3-4 pages. So if you go to my GitHub repository, you will find in the README on what all you need to configure Gatsby plugin. So first you have to install the npm package for a Gatsby plugin, of course. So right now here in this particular site, I already have it installed. So just to confirm, let me see in the package JSON. Okay, yeah, it is installed. So next we'll take the configuration for the plugin, and I'll copy the whole thing, and maybe I'll paste it somewhere in the middle. So first of all, you need a client key for the plugin, so which I have in my environment variable, which you also should because it's supposed to be confidential. So that's it. And I have to take my cookie domain to be the site. Okay, so the point of sale The API endpoint actually remained the same for me because I am from EU, so that shouldn't make any difference. So the client version, Webflow, target, boxer, most of this just remains default. So this can be set to true so that you should be able to log all the events that in the console. You can set it to false when you're pushing this to production. So I'll save this. So I have my change. I'll commit my change. So once I commit my change and push my change, Netlify should start building my site. Yeah, it starts building. Also because Gatsby has a plugin for Netlify, which takes the cache from the previous build. So it should not take us more than 2 minutes for the deploy to complete actually. Meanwhile, I will just maybe wait for it. I think it shouldn't take us much time. So, as you can see, there are several steps during the Gatsby build. So it builds out the SSR in first, and then it builds out the browser pages. So you can add your plugin for these steps, and you can ask your plugin to create your functionality as required at any step of the build. So let's see. Yeah, it should be done in a few minutes. Okay. Yeah, the build is complete. It should start deploying. Yep, site is live. So now if I go to the console and just reload the site, yeah, as you can see, we can see the Boxever view event being tracked. There is the response also. So Sitecore CDP is essentially tracking our website already. So I'll show you on a different page also. Let's see. So as you can see, it is tracking all our pages. I also had excluded a page called Hello World. If you can see here. Yeah, so if I go to my Hello World page, it should not track my page. As you can see, we do not have a console event, so it's not really tracking the page. So also because you already have the Sitecore CDP script in place for the browser, for the website, you should be able to launch your web experiences, web experiments, everything that Sitecore CDP has to offer in your website directly from Boxever. So that is the demo. I think we should be able to take questions. Oh man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vinay. Really interesting. Any question from anybody here? There's nothing in the chat yet. Okay, but anyways, if you get any question later, you can reach out to Vinay.
Yeah, thank you. So here are a few references. You can refer my GitHub repository. Also, you can refer my blogs if you want to learn more about the plugin. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Vinay.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Great presentation.
Thank you, Vinay.
How do I stop sharing my screen?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, now the last session will be about the XM Cloud and Vercel integration made by Elak and Ram. So guys, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Please let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Yeah.
Cool. And good evening also, we'll be looking into the XM Cloud and Vercel integration application. It's going to be interesting because we saw a moment back Sebastian presenting his, the feature that we have in XM Cloud. And this was before that, actually. It was during the Biotech Hackathon that we had to come up with ideas. And we thought it's going to be interesting to develop XM Cloud and Vercel integration. But there's going to be some differences in the way we thought of. There's going to be interesting to have both the perspectives. Though myself and Elakkuvan are the presenters of this little feature, it's going to be, the contributors are myself, Alex Gimenez, Vimal Prakash Manoharan, Elakkuvan, who's here, and Sweta Daniel. So all of these were, we were together as a team and we contributed during this hackathon that happened in Vatek. So let's see like what is the agenda. So we'll be going through motivation, a short demo. We'll be having a quick repo overview, and then we'll be talking about the future plans and Q&A. So I'll be starting with motivation and demo, then my friend and colleague Elakkuvan will be taking over the repo overview, future plans, and finally together we'll be answering to your questions. So motivation. So why were we motivated to do such an integration with XM Cloud and then with Vercel? So before that, we just need to understand what is Vercel integration. So Vercel integration, as you are already aware, based on Sebastian's demo. So it's to connect with third-party platforms. It can be CMS like XM Cloud. It can be commerce solutions like Order Cloud. It can be databases, or it can be logging tools. So anything that you would like to connect with Vercel, it's through the integration. So it's also to power up, to power up your features by pairing it up with the Vercel functionality. So let's say you want to connect with the Vercel API in a better way, you can really use the Vercel integration. And the integration can be, the Vercel integration can be used in different ways. So here we are going to show you how we deploy, how we have done using the deploy button. So we have a single deploy button that will deploy to both XM Cloud and Vercel at the same time. But in the future, we are going to create Vercel templates. And then we're going to have this as a installable feature in Vercel Marketplace as well. And finally, it's going to give you a head start. So let's see how it's going to give you a head start. So I would like to bring in few people to explain in a creative way how it's going to help different people who already have access to XM Cloud account. So let's take Emma, who's a marketing specialist. She wants to create a simple marketing site for a new campaign. As it is a campaign site, it's going to last only for a few months. She's not having a lot of budget, so she wants to come up with something really quick. So then we are having Mike, who's the director of brand strategy. He wants to launch a microsite really quickly. He has a very small team and he wants to reuse the elements that are there as part of this microsite. And finally, we have John, who's a developer who's looking for a starter kit. Let's take an example of XXA starter kit, which Sebastian used. So he's looking for a starter kit to really start up with a XM Cloud project. And then he also wants to set a standard, like Sebastian showed us, to have a proper standard in his repo. So he wants to set a proper standard so that other developers can follow them. So all these three people, they think Vercel is going to be their go-to solution because they're going to use the Next.js as their rendering host together with XM Cloud. So what they do is like they go quickly to the Vercel to find to search for the templates for the XM Cloud, but unfortunately they couldn't find. But right now you can find because the integration app is deployed by Sitecore right now. But previously, when we were able to do the hackathon, there was no template or integration available. So if you look for the template for XM Cloud, you won't find it. So let's say I want a starter kit, like a SXA starter kit. I'm not able to find it here. The reason is that there's no integration mechanism that can happen with just a button click from the Vercel. So that's the reason we were really motivated to have a kind of integration done through the deploy button from the Git repo. Hope I have given you enough intro, like why we were motivated to do and why we had to do this integration application. Now let's look at the interesting part of this. But before that, I need to stop my sharing and then share again so that the demo is kind of pre-recorded and it's a YouTube video. So it will be easier to share with the audience. I'll just take a minute to stop sharing and then share again. I'm going to start sharing. It's going to, I'm straight away going to the deploy button feature. So I'm just starting just a second before. Please let me know if you're not able to hear to the sound.
So let me take you up to this repo readme file and copy this link. So please make sure to copy the link from here because the Baltic engineering app is not having the Vercel integration, and we tried it. It's not possible to use the Vercel integration within the Baltic account. So that's the reason. Copy the link. I already have my personal account, personal GitHub account logged in the Chrome. So make sure you see this Vercel integration app installed in your GitHub applications. So now let me put this one. So now what I'm trying to do is like I'm going to configure SUGFrance in the site. So as a part of demo, let me see in the site. So you'll see different scopes. So make sure again, like it's your private GitHub account and not the Baltic Engineering account. And the private GitHub account should have Vercel installed in it. So this is the first primary step that is really important. So yeah, I'm going to create this new repo now. So what will happen at this step? So Vercel is going to get access to our GitHub repository, and it will create the new repository from the one we provide as a repo URL. So which is this one. And let me show you my set of repositories. You'll see this one just created now, and you'll see the files here. This is the first step, and then I'm going back to the new project clone app page for the Vercel, and you'll see add button to add our integration. Click this button. Cool. So you'll see this app is being hosted on Azure. So it's a containerized app running on Docker. Just to make it easier for everyone to try out, we have hosted it in Azure Web App as a container. The first step is to authorize your GitHub, so that our integration app can connect with your account. So once you authorize it, what happens is like, it creates the same set of files within the application as a shallow clone that is needed for different other processes. So now let me log in using my client ID and client secret to connect with XM Cloud. So you'll see this nice little toast message coming up, which will say like what is happening in the background. So you'll see like, the Sitecore CLI packages are installed and Sitecore CLI is ready to be used. So now we have two different flows. So it's going to be the first project that we are going to deploy to the XM Cloud. So let me show you here on the deploy page. You will see just one deploy app that is there, one deploy project that is being configured here. And soon, once we start our deployment, you'll see the new one which we're going to create. Resume setup. I'm going to create a new project. Yeah, I have pre-filled names. So let me choose them. So I'm calling it Vercel Sitecore XM Cloud project, and environment name is development. Let me click on the setup project. You'll again see some nice little toast message coming up. It's connected to the repo, the creation of new project and environment that is being done and succeeded. We have the new environment ID. Yeah, now you have to wait for 10 minutes for the deploy to complete. Because the Sitecore is going to clone the repo on their side, it will push the files and it will start the build of Docker. It's going to take a while. Meanwhile, what we can do is like we can just close this window to the right and this one to the left and see what's happening here. So you'll see the new project being created here, and you'll see the new first deployment in progress. Let's go to the deploy log. Yeah, so it's up to Sitecore now to take care of the deployment. It will normally take up to 10 minutes, and until then we have to wait for the process to complete. So it's time for you to have coffee or have a short break until it's
Not
done.
today.
So let's wait. Looks like the build and provisioning is completed and deployment is started. Let's wait for a minute or so for the deployment to complete. And normally you'll be seeing some messages coming up here after the deploy action, which would be to publish the items using Sitecore serialization. And it also, sorry, the first thing is to push the items and then publish the items. And finally, we'll be creating an edge token from XM Cloud. So we see a few set of logs coming up here. Let's wait for a few more minutes. Finally, the deployment is completed. We have a bunch of logs coming in our screen. Let me maximize this. Yeah, we are starting to publish to Experience Edge. The XM Cloud deployment succeeded. We have some information from XM Cloud with the status saying like it's completed. So the publish to Experience Edge might take some time as well, but it won't take as much time as the deployment. So once the publish is completed, the final process is to get the token, and this window should automatically close once we have the edge token. We'll just have a look at what has happened here in the project. While you keep waiting. Okay, so the publish to Experience is completed. We have the token. The installation is completed now. So the next action is to build the front-end files for the next year. It shouldn't take that long. But meanwhile, we'll take a look at what has happened so far. So you see the new project here. Let's open the content editor. Let me show you what has happened here. So you'll see a new development environment, and I'm just logging into this development environment. Let's wait for a minute. Cool. You'll normally see all the different sites that is there as a part of this platform. You'll see MVP site, Succon site. So you'll also see the Succon AG site that we deployed along with Succon EU and shared sites. So all of these are part of the XM solution. So that's why all these are deployed together. Yeah. Let's wait for the rendering host to be deployed, and then we can come back here. So it's kind of building right now. Meanwhile, I can show you what has changed or what our integration app has changed here. So let me take you to the site setting of SXA item. You'll see this one. As this is a SXA configured site, what we're doing is like we have a custom JSON through which we read what information is to be manipulated as a part of item changes. And then we have changed the server-side rendering engine endpoint URL to point with the Vercel app URL. But this Vercel app URL is the one that that is currently being built as a part of the Vercel. Okay, so it got deployed now, I guess. So it got deployed, so it got redirected back to the page. So let me go back and pick the URL for this one. And then put it over here. Cool, you'll see the site being deployed here. Let's quickly check the new feature called Sitecore Pages, which will let us to edit the pages using experience, like a horizon-like editor. So we are already in Succon ANG side. This is a demo, and I'm going to publish this item. Let's wait for the publish to complete. We'll get a pop here that the publish is completed. Yeah, meanwhile, let's look at this dashboard. So we have our congratulations that our first little rendering host is deployed in the next in the Vercel. So this is the page user comes and before being redirected to the portal. Let's see. So the home item publish was completed. It won't show up immediately, but if you refresh for a while, then you will see the result coming up here. Cool. So this has worked smoothly. So we see the changes also appearing here. So now let's quickly go back to the next approach where we're going to deploy to an existing XM Cloud instance. So this is going to be much quicker. So let me copy the link, come back to my Chrome window where I have the GitHub credentials logged into, which is my private GitHub account. And then I'm going to say second EU. So creating a private repo. I'm going to use the same approach to add my integration. Authorize the GitHub. We'll log in using your client ID and client secret for XM Cloud. You'll see like nice little toast messages just like before. Now we'll select this different flow where we'll be selecting using the drop down. So we have two different projects here. So let's choose a project that we created. Let's make sure we choose the one for the environment. And now I'm skipping the deployment, which means the XM Cloud will not be deployed. We'll be deploying just the Vercel's app as well as some items that we require. And let's click on setup project. So connecting with the project, starting the publish to experience edge. So we push some items that are necessary and then publish is completed. Token is generated. Next stage is going to start its deploy. It should be much quicker than the deploy of XM Cloud.
I think the XM deployment was so quick because of the skip deployment button.
Exactly. So we're just skipping the XM Cloud deployment here. So that's why it's really fast. So while this is happening, let me show you one more thing on my Vercel dashboard. I can show you the different set of configuration there that we have applied as a part of environment variables. Let's go to the settings and environment variables here. You'll see these information like the fetch bit, graphical endpoint, JSS editing secret, Sitecore API host, and Sitecore API key, which is nothing but the edge token. All of these are applied by the integration app on the fly just after the XM Cloud instance is created. And it will try to get this information from there and try to apply to the project of Vercel. Come back here. Let's wait for the pages are generated, the chunks are created. So soon will be redirected, I guess. Assigning the domain. Cool. I'm just clicking this. Our second EU site is also deployed successfully. We are being redirected to the cloud. Let's go to the pages again. Choose open pages. So this is the Sitecore EU site, and we are in the pages right now. Let's switch to the Sitecore EU site. Here you go. So you have both the flows now. You see both the sites being deployed successfully. We can deploy a new instance, new environment, and also we can choose an existing environment and deploy to Vercel.
Cool. Hope you enjoyed this. So let me continue the slide. So now I'll just hand it over to Elakkuvan. We'll continue the repo overview.
Hello all. Thank you, Ram, for the demo. So I think everyone has got a good glimpse of how our integration application can be used to fasten the development experience, to deploy to the XM Cloud, as well as to deploy our front-end application to the Vercel. So I hope you have enjoyed it. Let's have a look at the repo overview. As part of it, let's see like what are the different integrations we have within our application. So throughout the demo, during the demo, throughout the flow of the application, you might have noticed like we have been constantly communicating with XM Cloud, Vercel, and GitHub. XM Cloud to do the deployment, and with Vercel to do the deployment now of our front-end applications, and to GitHub to clone the repo, which is going to be the base to do the deployment, etc. And also, like we have one particular integration called Pusher. This is something you might have already heard about it. This is like a WebSocket to bring the real-time experiences to the web application. So I have given the URL of the Pusher. You can feel free to go and check out it about it more. It has some free plans, so you can try it out. And currently the repository is not is restricted within our organization, so it is not publicly available yet. But sooner we have planned to publish this repo publicly for the community usage. So it will have a read file where you can find a end-to-end description of each and every API and a complete repo overview. Next slide, Ram. This application is completely out of Mac principle, and it's completely API driven. In the right side of the images, you're seeing different APIs with like Git, Pusher, Vercel, and XM Cloud, etc. So though these APIs are hosted in a single web app now, in future it is possible to host this API individually as a standalone, and it can be scaled individually based on the usage. Also, currently the integration application that you have noticed during the demo was Dockerized one, and it is hosted in Azure as a web app as a container one. And the infrastructure for that application provision was done using the Terraform as infra as a code. That is again will be available in the repo. So once it is once the repo is published to all, you can have an overview of it. And this application is completely built with Next.js. And along with that, we are also using a different kind of different kind of models like Node PowerShell, because currently, like we are using Sitecore CLI commands to communicate with XM Cloud. So we are using the Node model, Node PowerShell for this, and also like we are using the React hot toaster. So like during the demo, you might have noticed some little messages that frequently gets popped up to the user. That was actually done by the React hot toast model. And also we are using the Node Git along with Tailwind CSS for the front end. And for the live notifications, like as I have told, we are using a Pusher. It's like it's a kind of WebSocket for the real-time notifications. So as and when someone connects to the application, it's create a unique channel, and it makes sure to push the notification individually back to the user, like all the XM Cloud transactional messages back to the user. In that way, you know, the logs can be sent uniquely to the individual user. That's all about the quick repo overview, and let us talk about the future plans. Next slide now. Okay, so currently, like when we have started, there were no, as Ram told, there were no integration application available for Sitecore. So currently, like we have one from Sitecore, but maybe like in future, we also like planning to deploy that to the Vercel integration dashboard, so that everyone can make use of it. Also, like currently, like we do not have any standardized template for the XM Cloud in the Vercel. So we are also going to work on to create a standardized template for it. And as I have told, currently, like we are using Sitecore CLI commands to communicate with XM Cloud, because when we have actually started this project, there were no documentation regarding the XM Cloud REST APIs. But thanks to Andy Cohen from Sitecore, who has shared with us the XM Cloud Swagger file, I think it is going to be useful for us to convert our app to adopt with that existing XM Cloud REST APIs. So this is something like we will be working on in future, and we will be completely moving to the XM Cloud REST APIs to get rid of the existing Sitecore CLI commands. Also, for our application to work, we have a custom JSON configuration file. So this is to manage some environment variables between our between the XM Cloud and the front-end app. So we have a custom JSON configuration file for it. We are also working towards towards converting this to more robust customization. So this is something like we are working on it. That's all about the future plan. I hope you have enjoyed the demo as well as the repo overview. So any questions?
Time for questions.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's really interesting to see that in action, actually. Seems like there is no questions in the chat. If anybody has any question, please feel free to unmute and ask the question. Okay, otherwise, I would like to thank you everybody to join us, to spend time, and especially for the presenters. Hopefully, we're gonna do another session soon. And as Hugo mentioned at the beginning, everybody that is interested on sharing something or or participating in growing the French community, feel free to reach out to Hugo, to Ram, to myself. This is not our group. This is open for everybody. So everyone is welcome to join us and to organize another event or present something, and hopefully we can do something in person the next time. So yeah, thanks a lot. I don't know, Hugo, Ram, do you want to share anything else?
Thanks a lot all. To be honest, like this is the first remote session that we are conducting, and it was really interesting. And thanks to Sebastian, Ezgi from Sitecore to be presenting today. And it was wonderful to have met all of you remotely. We had a lot of participants joining and having and showing interest in the presentation that we did. So it's really cool. So we are really motivated now to do more sessions in the future. So hope you will come back and join and support us to grow this community more. Thank you all.
Nothing to add on my end. Thanks everyone for having joined today. And yeah, we'll see each other very soon on the next session.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Bye everyone.
Thank you all.
Cheers,
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.